I'll share my screen. Who is recording can start recording. So, just reviewing what we did last class. Basic definition. We're looking at the continuum on Knudsen number and looked at Lagrangian and Eulerian formulations and the control volume approach, where a control volume is fixed space or a control volume consists of the same fluid particles. The fixed space approach is Eulerian approach, and the fixed particle approach, known as Lagrangian approach. So we're looking at divergence theorem and the substantial derivative or total derivative. So d by dt is what is used in your non-conservation or Lagrangian form. The sum of the local derivative v plus del and the temporal derivative dou by dou t. So we looked at the modeling the system, physical model and mathematical model. Mathematical model looking at conservative model, constitutive model. Then we are looking at how to solve the mathematical model. Analytical method is exact solution. Numerical method is what we are actually concentrating on, computational fluid dynamics. Is an approximate solution of the mathematical model. So most we will start from here today. The very important aspect of CFD is validation. Okay. That is, you have to validate your results. How do you make people trust that your results are good? Our results are trustworthy. They are believable. This is how we do it. So there are two types of validation: qualitative and quantitative. So qualitatively, if you see something, you compare with the physics and say that okay, this is how it's expected. It shows the same trend. So qualitatively, I can believe this model. The next step is quantitative. Okay, it shows the same trend, but are the numbers accurate? Can I believe them, or how much will be the error, even though they look the same almost? Like physically, it's physically feasible, but I can get a physically feasible wrong result. Okay. So we can say that whether the numbers you're getting are within reasonable limits, the numbers are looking, funny and somewhere, or you can compare with earlier models, earlier results, which are trustworthy. You can compare with analytical results for which you have exact solutions. After all, you are solving a PDE approximately. For simple cases of the PDE, you may have an analytical result, and for the same simple case you run numerically, it should agree with the analytical result within acceptable numerical error. Then it creates some kind of belief in your work, or you can compare with experimental work if possible, earlier works, statistical trends. All these will improve the confidence of people in the results you get. Otherwise, you can generate a lot of results in very short span of time, but you will be having a issue with people believing it. Now, these numerical methods rely on computers. Okay, so we can also call this computational techniques. That is how the word computational fluid dynamics came. We're using numerical and computational methods to solve fluid dynamic problems. So this is based on arithmetic operations like plus, minus, multiplication, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. This produces an approximate solution. There will be error. We recognize that, but we want to minimize that error as much as possible. Okay. Now, what do you mean by minimizing error? This is also based on how accurately you want the solution. You cannot say as accurately as possible. You should give some breathing space. Okay, I want the solution to be so many % accurate or within so many decimal places accurate. Things like that. You can try to the extent possible. We all know what is iteration. Sorry. So iteration nothing but repetition of the process or algorithm. When system of equations cannot be solved directly, that or the equation becomes non-linear. Okay. You can have n variables and n equations. But what if they are not linear equations? What if they become quadratic and coupled, being all the terms together? Then you get into mess. Okay. So what you do is you start with an approximate. You assume an approximate solution to be correct initially to start the solution. That is, you assume the answer. If you have x, y, z unknowns, you assume all values for x, y, z at all points. With this as the basis, you see whether your assumed distribution is satisfying the finite difference equation or an approximation of PDE. If they don't satisfy, then you should adjust it in such a way that it moves towards the correct solution. So the adjustment should come as a process, as a part of the algorithm. Okay. So you iterate so many number of times until the solution converges. So now what is convergence? Convergence is they were approaching towards a definite value, a definite point, or towards a fixed or equilibrium state. In CFD, the difference between the solutions obtained in successive iterations, if they become negligibly small, then we say the process converging. You see a figure. Are you able to see the figure clearly on your computer? The black background figure. Is it visible clearly?
Yes, sir. So, okay, sir.
So on x-axis you have iterations. On y-axis, you look carefully, it's a log scale, so it's a semi-log graph. On y-axis, bottom you have 10 power minus 6, then 10 power minus 5, then 10 power minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, and then 10. Usually, whatever you get in the first iteration, the error, that is the difference between the assumed value and the value you get after the iteration. You call that as 1. How you measure that error is a different story. Now, relative to that, when you move along this iteration, what is the change in the time? So, this is 10 times less than 1. This is 100 times less than 1. 10 power minus 3 is 1000 times less than 1. So, when you say that, related to my first iteration error, if my error drops down to 1000 times less than that value, then I say solution is converged. Just hold on, I'm getting a call. Someone haven't muted their one, creating a lot of disturbance. Let me just mute. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. So in CFD, the difference between solutions obtained successfully is negligibly small. So here you see it is the 10 power minus 3. So what this shows is they have five quantities. If you see from dark line here, if you have five equations, you can assume that these are the right hand side of the. When you have five equations, the equations read like the left hand side is equal to 0. So you'll have five equations with all the left hands equal to 0, formulated that way. Now, if you assume wrong values, they won't become 0. You get some other number on the right hand side. That number is known as residual. Okay. Now, all these will denote those numbers. Okay. Scaled by the first iteration, what is the number you are getting. Now, for five equations, you have five such graphs. You see that the green line, which is epsilon, some value, that has dropped from 1 to around 10 power minus 4. It has dropped down to 10,000th of that, around 10,000th of the initial value. Same way red also. But the other three have not dropped down so dramatically. If my condition is that out of all these five, everything should be less than 1,000th of the initial value. So that happens at around 200 iterations here. Okay. So this is called convergence history, like how the error behaves with number of iterations. Okay. So this convergence history is very important to see whether your solution is the computation is going on properly or not. Suppose it doesn't converge. If I continue for 20,000 iterations, is it worth it? Will I get a better answer? Or is it going to blow up after some time? Blow up means this won't come down, it will go up. The error will start going up. Or you may get some very, crazy oscillations that it may reach a value infinity. That means your numerical algorithm is, conking out somewhere. So this convergence history can be used to prove the stability of your approach. Okay. Now we look at the errors. We are looking at some errors here. What are the sources of these errors? They are very intuitive and they are not difficult to understand. So here he is telling two sources of numerical error, which is round off error. Second one is called truncation error. Another name of truncation error is called discretization error. Both are the same, just different words are used here. Okay. Round off error depends on the computer you use, the hardware you use. So a computer cannot represent all numbers accurately. For example, a 64-bit computer can only store binary data in its 64-bit. Hence, a round up, round down, or other approximations happen at the least significant digit. 64-bit doesn't mean 64 digits. It means number of bits is much smaller than that accuracy. So there's a loss in accuracy. For example, 1 by 3 is 0.33333 and so on. It will keep continuing. But you stop after 6 decimal places because the computer cannot handle numbers larger than that. Same way, root 2 if you want, the approximator 1.4142, you may approximately 1.414. Yes, that is an approximation. So what happened to the chopped off numbers? They are errors. Okay. So you have to live with this error. This type of error actually for example, I want to ask a question to someone, and the right person was Krishna. Krishna?
Yes, sir.
See, I have this round off error.
Okay, sir.
In some process, I have 10 multiplications.
Okay.
In another process, I have 100 multiplications.
Okay.
Which will have more round off error?
So it depends on what numbers we're multiplying.
Yeah, assume they are similar. One thing, assume the probability of chopping off numbers is the same in both. What is it? Per number.
Okay.
Then
Sir,
where do you commit more error?
so if you keep it's in succession, if you keep multiplying numbers in which if for each step, if you have to round off, then
That will have
I
more
think-
error, correct?
yes.
Yeah, absolutely right. So if you have more number of multiplications, I just told multiplication, it can be multiplication, division, any mathematical operation, right? So if you do it more number of times, more number of calculations means this error is going to grow. Agreed, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Anyone objecting to this, or whole class is agreeing?
Yes, sir, we agree. I agree.
Okay. Yeah. Who's that?
Sir, Sanjeev.
Sanjeev. Good. Okay. Great. So the round off error keeps growing with your number of multiplications you have. Right. So keep it in mind. We'll come back to this. So truncation error is caused by truncating or approximating a mathematical procedure. For example, Taylor series is a good example. Some examples given here. Maclaurin series. Hope you haven't forgotten Maclaurin series. What is given here is Maclaurin's expansion for e power x. So if I ask Vignesh,
Yes, sir.
what is actually Maclaurin series expansion? Remember? It becomes very important for this course.
Something to do with powers.
See,
Exponents.
you have you should know it thoroughly. E power x Maclaurin series expansion is given here. You can write it for any analytical function.
Yes, sir.
So right hand side is approximation of e power x. When you use e power x, it goes up to infinity.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But you have to truncate somewhere. You can't go on to infinity, then computer will only be calculating that, it won't do any other work for you. So suppose you take only 3 terms in this series. This comes to an important thing. Anyone who remembers Maclaurin series now by heart can come forward and say that.
Yes, sir.
Who's that?
Sami Vasan, sir.
Sami Vasan, tell me.
Actually, it's nothing but finding the function value at x equal to 0, sir. Like, so if f
X
of
equal
x,
to,
so it can be modeled
what
as
is
like
what is the difference between Taylor series and Maclaurin series?
Taylor series is general, sir. It can be used for at any point, sir. Like if you want to approximate a function at a particular point, we can use at any point. We can use Taylor series, whereas at x equal like Maclaurin series is where you will be approximating the, approximating the function at x equal to 0, sir.
Not, so if we put x equal to 0, I will just get e power 0 is 1. Is that my Taylor series expansion? Something wrong with the explanation.
Sir, limiting to 0.
No, sir. Like it's like suppose there's a function, sir. We will take it as like e power x itself, sir. So it will be like a curve, no, sir. So
now is it correct to call this Maclaurin series, or should I call Taylor series this one? What you
Sir,
see here?
it's a subset of Taylor series.
No. At x equal to 0, what you write, is it Taylor series? I'm asking whether it's the truth is the ulta of what you are telling. Maclaurin series x plus h. When
No,
h
sir.
is
Taylor
equal
series plus H, sir.
Then?
Taylor series
Can you?
can be used for at any point, sir. Like x equal to, suppose we can x equal to a, sir. A be any point.
Maclaurin's also you can use at any point, no?
No, sir. Maclaurin is at a particular point, that is at x equal to 0 only, sir.
See, x equal to 0, if you put here, it will just say e power 0 is 1 in this formula. Then how do you justify? It has no meaning, no value for me. And I know that already e power 0 is 1. So something
Sir,
is
no,
wrong in your explanation.
before substituting the value, sir.
No. Can someone else explain? There is something wrong in your explanation. Someone else? You find out what's wrong. Go back and study. Okay, Sam Yosan? Or get it cleared from others.
Sir, in Taylor series, we use the derivatives of function at every point, and we use that derivatives to calculate the function value. But in Maclaurin,
Yes.
we just
Maclaurin is
use
also?
0. Yes.
No. Maclaurin is also used with derivatives.
Okay, but derivative at x is equal to 0.
X is equal to 0. Now you are. Can you? Okay, I leave it to you. Can you get me the correct one tomorrow? The correct. We should teach everybody. Who will teach? Who is this? Aishwarya. I want to choose someone. Okay, let me look at the participants and choose. Devasrutan. Is there? Devasrutan is not there. Officially, he is there. Name shows up here. Naresh or N. Aditya. Just read it from your earlier textbook, or you read it from the net. You teach us next class. Just 5 minutes. No, not even 5 minutes. 2 minutes is enough. What is Maclaurin series? What is Taylor series? Without any doubt. Nobody should forget after that. Niveda Srinivasan? Niveda?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you do it? Can you find out and come tomorrow?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Maclaurin series and Taylor series. What are they? That's it. Because we are going to use it in many places in this course.
Okay,
So
sir.
your work will be of very appreciated, very useful for the course.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
I will share it tomorrow.
Okay. So we'll go to the suppose there will be some series and they are using only the first 3 terms. Obviously you are committing an error because you are neglecting the x cube term onwards. Okay. Third order onwards you are neglecting. Now that chopping off is even before you use the computer. This kind of error is known as discretization error or truncation error. What is the Taylor series expansion? F prime x is equal to f of x plus delta x minus f of x by delta x. Have you come across this somewhere? So in Taylor series, you have f of x plus delta x. You just take everything. F prime x into delta x plus f of x becomes f at x plus delta x. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now the next term will be, for example, I'll write it so that people can follow. Some people can follow something strictly. Some people can follow other things quickly. So it's better if I write down. This we call as Taylor series. Nivetha will confirm tomorrow. I know a function at x. Okay. Taylor series is more important than Maclaurin series, but we have to know both of them. Okay. So you should tell me tomorrow, Nivetha, okay, whether I am correct or wrong. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Also Maclaurin series. I'm not writing the Maclaurin series here.
Yes, sir.
This is your typical Taylor series. I assume. You just
Yes,
correct
sir.
me if I'm wrong tomorrow. Okay. And so on and so forth. Now what you are doing is, yeah. So all of us tend to forget things if you are not in touch for a long time. But it's good to refresh, because if you want to be in this field, you have to know this. At least for this course, you have to know this. Now, if you take only the first two terms and you chop off everything after this term, okay, this you ignore. What are you doing? You are neglecting terms of the order of delta x cube or more. What does it say? If I know the function at f of x, I know f prime x, I know f double prime x, I know f double prime x, and so on and so forth. I can find the value of the function at the next one also, x plus delta x, if delta x is very small. We are approximating by a straight line. In a straight line, what happens? You are telling that f double prime x is 0 for a straight line, correct? You have dy by dx is constant, f prime x is constant, y is equal to mx plus c. So dy by dx is equal to m. From d squared by dx squared, one knows everything is 0. So this is 0, this is 0, everything is 0. So still it's whole good. If you want the next one, at this point, you add the slope and the difference in x you multiply, you will get this f of x plus delta x. It's verified for a straight line. But if your line is curving, then you know you need to take care of all these other derivatives also. If it is 0 from some derivative, then you can be okay. But if you take sin x, if f of x is sin x, and you want to use this formula, none of it is 0 till infinity. But what happens? The first one is delta x. Suppose delta x you are taking is 0.1. The next term will be 0.01. Assuming the coefficients are comparable, this is only 10% of this. This one is 0.001. So this is only 1% of this delta x. So if I truncate at this point, the error I will commit will be 10% of delta x in the case. If I stop here, it will be only 1% of my delta x. If I still include this term, I'll get only 0.1% error theoretically. Okay. So if you include more number of terms in this series, you can be more accurate. But you're looking at the other side, how inaccurate you are, or what is the error you are committing. If I retain the first few terms, okay. Now here you'll get the error of the order of delta x cube. Okay. So you will be committing something called truncation error. Now I have a question for one of you. Who's that? Who this? SR. Who answered last question? Niveta, no? Niveta. Aishwarya is here?
Yes, sir.
Varush? Aishwarya, this question is for you.
Okay.
Just like Krishna answered a question, no? Same question, but for this one. In this case, okay, let's say I am having delta x. One case, delta x is, let's say, 0.1 in one case. In another case, delta x is 0.01.
Okay, sir.
Now I am neglecting everything from second term. Which
Okay.
case will have more error?
You mean 0.1 or 0.01, sir? In these two,
Yeah. Which one will have more error? I have one case where delta x is 0.1, another case where delta x is 0.01.
So, I guess 0.1 will have more error.
Absolutely. Because 0.1, the next term will be 0.01. If you have 0.01, the next term will be 0.0001. So error will be so much less. Okay? It
Yes.
will be much less. So this approximation is good. The error you commit will be less if you take a situation where delta x is very small. Then I don't need to bother about the higher terms so much. Right? The error
Yes.
I commit will be very less. Yes. So in other words, can I say that if I increase delta x, error will grow. Error will be more. Am I right?
Yes, sir. You can say that again.
Yes. If I increase delta x, there will be more error. What type of error is this? Truncation error or discretization error. That error will be more. Okay. So discretization error will be more if my delta x is more. Fantastic. Another example of this truncation error. This is more easily understood. Using finite rectangles to approximate the integral. You have a curve. This is easy. Y is equal to x squared means you integrate and find out. But let's say a very complicated thing which cannot be integrated easily. Some curve is here. How do you find the area under that? You have rectangles and you sum up the rectangles and say that is the area. But then what about these white triangles like shapes here? Those are all the errors. So the area we compute will be less than the actual value by this area. Correct? Again, Aishwarya, coming back to your point, how do I reduce this error? Aishwarya?
Yes, sir.
How do I reduce the error? By having more rectangles.
Okay, yeah.
Placed closely. The same interval. Instead of 4, you have 40. Then they will be so close that this white area will become very, very less compared to this. Correct?
Yeah.
Instead of 40, if I have 400, it will be still
It will
less.
be much less.
Yes. 4,000? much less.
Will be much less. Yeah.
So that small portion, anyway, that the white area will be there. Even if you have 40,000, it will be there.
Yeah.
But that will be the error you will be committing.
Yes.
Correct. So you can reduce that error by
Increasing
increasing the number of rectangles, or in other words, reducing the delta x between every rectangle. Every rectangle has small delta x now. You have more. Here the delta x between rectangles is 1.5. See 3 to 4.5, 4.5 to 6. Correct?
Yes, sir.
In the other case, you can reduce the error by having more number of rectangles or less delta x. What you are doing, delta x becomes smaller. It becomes 1/10 of this 1.5. That is 0.15 or less than that 0.015. You make that error reduce dramatically. Correct?
Correct, sir.
Yeah. So all this I am telling because you look at the combination of these two errors after some time.
Okay.
All to say this, what Krishna told, the round off error will increase if the number of calculations are more. Now, if you reduce delta x, will you have more calculation to perform, less calculation to perform?
If you reduce delta x, it will be the same, no, sir.
No, number of calculations. Here you do only 4 calculations. There you do 40 calculations.
It will be more.
It will be more. So what happens to that error? Round off error will increase because more number of calculations you do, more it will be.
Yeah, of course.
But the discretization error, as you told, it will be less.
Yes, sir.
So one error increases with the number of rectangles, or we can say, the number of divisions you have in the computation.
Yeah.
Okay. Another error increases. So,
with delta.
Yeah. So if we draw, you have seen this in, the drag curve also will look like this actually. If you remember, just to draw an analogy, not the same, but it is the number of divisions. Number of divisions. So if you have more number of divisions, that means delta x will be smaller. So which error will go up like this? More with number of divisions? Round off or discretization? Wait,
round off will be more.
Round off will be more, correct. Round off will be more. Can you choose someone yourself who hasn't, answered, who hasn't talked in this class for a long time?
Sorry, sir. What do you want me to do?
You choose a person in your class for the next question.
Okay, sir. Supranai.
Supranai. Supranai, are you there? See, some people are not there. They'll just switch on and then they'll go off, either mentally or physically, the other side. So we don't have to force them to answer. Only those who want to answer can answer, who are interested. Okay. So Supranai, obviously, she's not there. No problem. And yeah, here we choose Sanjeev. Or they may have some problems, their network or something. Mish, are you there? Sahana?
Yes, sir.
Sahana.
Yes, sir.
Now, see, round off error is increasing like this. Another error, if you have more number of division, it decreases. If you have less number of division, it increases. What is this error?
The truncation error.
Yes, truncation. Correct. Or discretization. Okay. Another name for this is discretization error.
Okay, okay, sir.
Yeah. A very long word. So this error actually decreases with number of divisions. Now if I add both of them, I am putting error here on the y-axis. I will get something like this, correct? What is this? Total error. Rather, I will just draw using a different color. So the total error. Error is something you don't like. Okay, it is like drag in your fluid dynamics. We don't want much drag. Similarly, here don't want much error here. So I put it in dark red color. Right. This will be the trend, no? Sahana, if you add both, total error.
Yes, sir.
One increases for small divisions and decreases at infinity. Another one is small here but larger here. When you add both, what will happen? This will be the minimum, and the minimum will happen at somewhere around this point where they meet. That will be the minimum. So what does this say finally? Very interestingly, one party may say, for example, let's say Krishna's party. Krishna's party will say, hey, come on, I don't want round off errors. So make as less computation as possible. Right. Then Aishwarya's party will say, no, truncation there will be more. So make as many subdivisions as possible. But actually what is there will be some number of divisions for which you will get the least error, which is the most spot you should try to achieve. Okay. Now we'll see how can you reduce even this error. You can reduce whatever error you reduce, the total error is always reduced. So if you reduce the truncation error, that means include more terms in the series. This curve may, probably choose another color. This curve may decrease like this. Fine. If you choose a higher bit computer, you 64-bit, use a 128-bit computer, then your round off error may decrease further. Okay. As a result, your total error may be only so much, maybe like this. So, is it clear now? You reduce this maximum error by two steps. One way is to, reduce the round off error, which can be done by using a computer with more significant bits. You have 32-bit computers, 64-bit computers, 128-bit computers, 256-bit computers. I haven't heard of anything further so far. If you have heard of something, you let me know. So the total error consists, the other part is the discretization error, which will actually be less if you have more number of points. You can decrease that by having smaller and smaller divisions. Okay, so that is this green line. If you have smaller divisions, it may reduce. So as a result of both, your total error will reduce from the red line to the yellow line. Okay. Okay, so we'll stop here today, and so thank you. If you have questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we can close the session. Okay, so we need mathematics here, but we don't need that frightful mathematics. We only need some basic mathematics for this course. Probably not more than 12 standard knowledge. You may have to refresh those 12 standard knowledge in this course. Okay, and whatever extra is needed, we will investigate this time. Okay, so you can stop recording, Sanjay.
Yes.
Thank you. So let me.